done away with, and to a brotherhood where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Our members,
Honorable members, wish to inform you that the Right Honorable Speaker is unavoidably absent from the chamber. And in accordance with Order 13.2, the first Deputy Speaker would preside over today's proceedings. Thank you.
honorable members, correction of votes and proceedings. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on page 6, Honorable Adialadi was present yesterday, but she's not absent. So if the civil notice can take notice and make necessary correction.
Sorry, Honorable, I didn't hear a word of what you said. Can you repeat that for me, please?
Mr. Speaker, what I said was that Honorable Ajia Ayambaladi, MP for Pusiga, was in the chamber yesterday, but she's not absent.
Very well. Page 7. Page 8. Honorable member, subject to the corrections, the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, the 2nd February 2021 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honorable members, there's an official report. Wednesday, 20th January 2021. Any corrections? Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, page number 20, and the second paragraph. Apart from that, the student...
Member, when we're discussing or correcting the official report, we refer to columns.
Column. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So column number 2. Column number 2. Apart from that, the student is also expected to pay for. It's been made expected for. Expected to pay for.
Sorry, is that column 002, is that right?
Yes, 020.
Which paragraph?
Paragraph number 2.
Paragraph 2. Votes and proceedings and official report. Yes, what is...
Apart from, the student is also expected to pay for. It's been made expected for. To pay.
Honourable Member, I think we are at cross purposes. Is that column 002?
Yes, 020. Right.
Column 020.
Yes, please.
Very well. 020. Paragraph.
Yes. And column 034.
Sorry, I have not as yet gotten the correction. So, is that apart from?
Apart from that, the student is also expected to pay for. If we made expected for.
To pay is omitted. Very well. Yes. Then which column?
034.
Column 034. Yes, what paragraph?
6th paragraph, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. John Abdullah Jinapo,
yes.
They made NPP instead of NDC.
Yape Kusegu.
John Abdullah Jinapo. No, it's not correct. It's not Samuel John.
Yes, your correction is well noted.
And it's made NPP.
Right. Any more corrections? Yes, Honorable.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, column 019, where my name is. The spelling of Kwesi is Kwasi. Then the Kote, it is Kotoe, not double T. Then column 021, the name at the top, the surname is Kotoe, not spelled double T. Thank you.
Very well. Yes, any more corrections? Any more corrections, please? In the absence of any further corrections, the official report of Wednesday, the 20th January 2021 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Yes, Honourable Member for Lembele.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I rise to raise a matter of great concern to all of us. Mr. Speaker, and it has to do with the new sitting of 2 p.m. And the worry.
The use of what?
Mr. Speaker, the sitting at 2 p.m. The time, the new sitting time. Mr. Speaker, is ravaging COVID-19, and one of the advice that we all have is to make sure that our interactions are all limited. And my worry is that the 2 p.m. is exposing us. We are spending more hours here in Parliament and exposing ourselves more than
Honourable Member, you
normally
of
be the
order.
case, and I'm concerned about it.
Honorable member, you're out of order. There are places for such matters. When you get there, you can raise them. But
I have
for
another
now,
very important second issue.
item number 4, statements. There are 2 statements admitted to be read today. The first one is in the name of Honorable Kofi Adams on the plight of Cocoa Boom constituency, despite government 1.3 billion loan facility to the Ghana Cocoa Board. Yes.
They are now printing. That's your copy. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak on a subject matter of pressing importance to my constituents and I. The Buem constituency falls under the Uti region, one of the 6 newly birthed regions in December 2018. The Buem people are primarily a subsistence farming people who have stayed with cocoa farming as a primary source of income for a very long time. Mr. Speaker, the Buem constituency is noted for our quality cocoa. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Cocoa Board secured a $1.3 billion facility to purchase cocoa beans for the 2020-2021 crop season. This facility was to assist Cocoa Board make upfront payment for cocoa beans that it purchases from cocoa farmers. Most of the cocoa farmers in Ghana depend mainly on the proceeds of cocoa sale to fend for themselves and their families, and most importantly, to prepare new farmland next farming season. The proceeds of these sales pay their bills, ranging from school fees through domestic utilities to medical bills. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, this has not been the case for the last 3 months. Reports from my constituency and other constituencies in the cocoa growing regions is that cocoa farmers have not been paid by licensed buying companies for their cocoa purchase in the last 2 months. And even though we are just in the 3rd month of the main cocoa season. Mr. Speaker, the grim nature of the issue becomes more apparent when I use the plight of farmers in my district as an example. In Buem, from just 5 LBCs, that is 5 licensed buying companies, farmers are owed 11,055,000 Ghana cedi, representing 16,750 bags of cocoa beans purchased from them by these LBCs. Mr. Speaker, this situation defeats government's efforts at investing in the cocoa sector to motivate farmers to keep their produce in the country. Further in the Western North, Mr. Speaker, only Kajal Sourcing Company is currently paying for cocoa purchase from the farmers. This is because they have their own funds to do so. Even more worrying, Mr. Speaker, is the sad fact that some of these farmers have been plunged into debilitating health conditions with no funds to seek medical assistance. These farmers resort to loans that are usually accompanied by cutthroat interest just to provide basic needs such as feeding and clothing for their families. As saddening as this, Mr. Speaker, the latter should be of grave concern to this august House, as it defeats the purpose of government's desire to curb as much as possible the smuggling of cocoa beans to neighboring countries. Increased smuggling will lead to reduction in the cocoa production tonnage and ultimately negatively impact the loan approved by Parliament. Some children of farmers in educational institutions that do not accept promissory notes from purchasing clerks have had to stay home since school resumed. Mr. Speaker, it is my considered view that if Parliament, which approved the syndicated facility for the purpose of purchasing cocoa for the 2020-2021 crop season, does not intervene to get Cocoa Board to release funds to LBCs to enable them pay the farmers for the cocoa beans purchased, the economic and health situation of these farmers and their dependents will further deteriorate. In the long term, farmers who are engaged in cocoa production will be motivated to practice the unfortunate smuggling of beans as the only way of survival. Mr. Speaker, I pray you to use your to direct the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, which has oversight Cocoa Board, which has oversight responsibility over Cocoa Board, to immediately take steps to ensure payments are effected to cocoa farmers in Buem constituency and all other cocoa farming areas. It is my belief that this will go a long way to alleviate the distress and anguish my constituents are currently facing. Right now, I thank you for the audience given me and the people of Buem constituency. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, we didn't get the benefit of the statement before being read. But my colleague Kofi Adams raised a very fundamental issue in his statement. And I want to say it here and now, that the information he had was inaccurate. Whilst he was on his feet, I checked the facts. And it is not the case that Ghana Cocoa Board has not paid LBCs. It is not. No, please. This is a very serious matter for economy. It's not just, let's get serious, with all due respect. No, I am saying, Mr. Speaker, as we speak, because his point is that cocoa farmers in his constituency in Western North have not been paid. And he is saying that the LBCs have not been paid, which presupposes that Cocoa Board has not paid them. I am saying that as we speak today, that is not the case. So, Mr. Speaker, we've had situations that LBCs have received payment and have not paid the farmers. If that is their intent, let it come out. But if you say that it is Cocoa Board that has not paid, then, Mr. Speaker, it is important that he puts it in the right perspective. But as it is today, Mr. Speaker, no PC can claim, because I've checked. Mr. Speaker, I said I have checked. Mr. Speaker, you see, Mr. Speaker, we don't need to fight over this matter. When if you have contrary facts, if Mr. Adams can tell us which LBC in Buem has alleged that it has not been paid, so that we know
Honorable Leader.
It's not the case.
Yes, Honorable Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to refer my colleague to our standing orders on statement. Yes. Statement, that's order 72, where our standing orders clearly states that with the indulgence of Mr. Speaker, a member could make a statement of public importance, so that contributions with regards to this statement will be restricted to the statement. Whereas I agree with the factual inaccuracies, even Speaker admits it, you could try to take steps to correct them. But what I'm saying, my worry is that the Speaker, this is not what he's doing. Because he's just saying that he's checked from who. Tell us, because when this statement is being made, the person is factual and telling us where his sources are. If you are claiming that you've checked, tell us from who. So that if this House, maybe at the end of the statement, Mr. Speaker decides that a committee of this House should investigate this, then we'll be able to get your source that is telling you that that money has been paid to appear, to answer. But if you just make a general statement that your checks, without telling us who is telling you that they paid, it will be difficult. It will be contradictory, not only to our standing orders, but to even the rules of debate, because you are just making a general statement without any source. So, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted you to draw his attention to that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, I think what my colleague, the minority chief whip, just said is not different from the very point I was trying to underscore. My colleague's statement was very general. He said two things. Buem, his constituency, LBCs have not been paid. Then two, in Western North, farmers have not been paid by LBCs. He didn't end there. He also added that it's as a result of refusal of Cocoa Board to pay the LBCs. Then he added that since we approved that syndicated facility, he is inviting Mr. Speaker in this House to ensure that that thing is done. I'm saying that I checked. For the avoidance of doubt, let me read aloud. And I wasn't making a comment on it. I just wanted to draw the attention of the House to those factual inaccuracies, which Minority Chief Whip agreed with. Mr. Speaker, this is what...
What are you reading from?
Mr. Speaker, this is data from Cocoa Board that I am...
Oh, honorable members, order. Want to listen to him? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, this is information from Cocoa Board database which I've sought. When I start reading, if it's the desire of the House, I will get it printed and send that. I don't have a problem. The maker of the statement himself has not even given us the name of the LBC that has refused to pay.
Honorable member, I asked you a question.
Very well, Mr. Speaker, so I want to read.
Cocoa Board what?
Mr. Speaker, the Cocoa Board information, I'm reading from their database. Information
Their website?
Yes, please. Information that they put out.
Very well.
Mr. Speaker, their communication department, I would want to read 2020-2021 cocoa syndication funding. Quote, in the 2020-2021 crop season, Ghana Cocoa Board syndicated for 1.3 billion for the purchase of cocoa and cocoa-related activities. Out of the full amount, a total of 1.110, equivalent of 6347174, has been drawn down with a balance of 190 million outstanding. Out of the 1110, 50 million was utilized for cocoa input purchase and syndication expenses, with the 1060 utilized for cocoa purchasing and other related activities. A total amount of 1,548,700,000 was released as seed money to local buying companies from October 2020 to commence cocoa purchasing from cocoa farmers. For the first time in the cocoa purchasing operation, no seed fund was released to foreign LBCs. All foreign LBCs are mandated to source for funding for cocoa purchases. in addition to the seed money released to local LBCs, additional amount of 4 billion has been paid to all LBCs after submitting invoices to Cocoa Board for processing, bringing the total amount to 5.6 billion. This represents 92% of total funds received from October to January 2021, with the remaining 7.52 used for other cocoa-related activities, i.e. warehousing, shipment, disinfectation. So, Mr. Speaker, all that I'm saying from these facts, from the Communications Department of Cocoa Board, clearly they provided seed money for the local licensed buyers, and when they also raised invoices, they have also indicated they paid them. Mr. Adams may be based on the information he's getting from a certain source. All I want you to know is that perhaps verify from that particular LBC who is in your constituency why he has not raised an invoice, and don't connect it generally. Then you say Western North farmers have not been paid. What you are saying has consequence on the international image as country. So I'm only basically telling you that let us know if there are specific LBCs. LBCs are limited liability companies. If they have been paid by Cocoa Board and they have refused to pay farmers, name them. Let's know which LBCs, so that specifically we can deal with it, because these are serious matters, with all due respect, Mr. Speaker. So having that is not I am in agreement with the minority chief.
Honorable Deputy Leader, please speak to me. Ignore the...
Mr. Speaker, I will do so. When it is too loud, it's difficult to ignore, but I will not. Mr. Speaker, all I am saying is that our rules, which was quoted by Deputy Minority Chief, the Minority Chief, Honorable Muntaka Mubara, the rule provides that by the indulgence of the House and the leave of Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, perhaps if Honorable Kofi Adams had fully complied after you granted leave, he had shared his statement with us aforehand, which would have satisfied the indulgence criteria, we would have assisted him to deal with this inaccuracy. Because as it is, he himself did not even verify from Ghana Cocoa Board. He himself has not told us which LBC in Buem has not paid farmers. He has also not told us LBCs in Western North have refused to pay farmers. Yet he is here talking about the plight of farmers. And I'm saying that if you create this impression that Ghana Cocoa Board that came to this house sought funds from the international financial market, has drawn down, given returns of having paid farmers, has refused to pay, Mr. Speaker, this has consequences on our financial market. It has consequences on the image of this country. Anything to be dealt with lightly, give us specifics. Failure to do that, it becomes problematic. And that is all the point I'm trying to, Mr. Speaker, not by way of comment, by way of drawing attention to these factual inaccuracies for the statement maker of the statement to perhaps come back to the House with further and better particulars of the basis upon which he anchored the statement. I thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member for Asunafo South, yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Majority Leader is misinterpreting the content of the document he referred to in this House. In that document, Cocoa Board alluded to the fact that this House approved 1.3 billion. And as at the time they were putting out that information, they have not assessed the entire 1.3
billion. And he indicated that 190 million is still, they have not still assessed that amount. That explains their inability to pay for the cocoa that they have purchased. Mr. Speaker, the reality is this. The reality is this. The syndicated loan is usually assessed before the opening of the cocoa season. So when Cocoa Board assess the funds, they advance some of these monies to the LBCs. That is what money. For them to purchase the cocoa and then send the cocoa to Cocoa Board. Now when they submit, Cocoa Board will give them another money for them to go and buy. What is happening now is that they don't have the money, so they go to the farmers, credit the cocoa, send the cocoa to Cocoa Board with the invoices, waiting for Cocoa Board to pay them. And because Cocoa Board has not been able to assess the entire amount, they are unable to pay the farmers. I myself, I spoke to Cocoa Board on this matter. And I'm telling you that the explanation Cocoa Board is giving to this situation is that because of the COVID situation and other emergencies, they are unable to assess the entire 1.3 billion. That is why they are not paying for the cocoa that they have purchased. Now the issue has been raised on this in this very house by our colleague, so that we can invite the Minister for Agriculture to appear here to indicate to us what measures are being put in place to resolve the matter. The situation is that it is across the nation. Every cocoa region, farmers are suffering, whether they belong to the NPP or the NDC. They send the cocoa to the purchasing clerks, the cocoa is waived, they are unable to get their money. That is the situation now. So the honorable colleague is drawing the attention of this August House as representatives of the people to take note of what is happening on the ground. Honorable Afonso, you don't come from a cocoa grown area, so you are not abreast with the issues. Your colleagues behind you, they know the issues. Mr. Speaker himself is from a cocoa growing constituency, and he understands the issues better.
Honorable Member Personnel, can you leave me out of the debate, please?
Don't dilute the facts. Mr. Speaker, the reality is that farmers are not being paid, and he's urging this house to bring Espinafosa constituency, Espinafon of Esutifi, all over. We come from cocoa growing constituencies. If you don't have any idea about cocoa, this is not about MPP or NDC. It's about our own farmers.
We are not in a bad.
So, Mr. Speaker, the issue is that the honorable member is not speaking, is being economical with the truth. The truth is that our farmers are not being paid.
Honorable Member Personnel for the honorable member quarreling about farmers paid or not. His argument is that Cocoa Board has released money to the LPCs. That link is what he's complaining about. As for farmers being paid or not, I don't think that he was raising that issue. But whether Cocoa Board has given the money to the LPCs, we are not using it to pay the farmers. But let the debate continue.
Mr. Speaker, as we speak today, Cocoa Board is still owing the LPCs. Mr. Speaker, sometimes we ask our colleagues not to muddy the waters for themselves. Even the foreign companies, Cocoa Board last year couldn't pay all the cocoa that they delivered to Cocoa Board. Cocoa Board is still owing them. But we are talking about the local LBCs. Cocoa Board has made some payments to them, all right, but it's not enough to pay for the cocoa that they have delivered to Cocoa Board. That is the issue. So you don't stand here and be talking about Cocoa Board has paid them as if Cocoa Board is not owing. We are even owing the foreign companies. The deputy minister is aware.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am happy that my leader, Honorable Afenyo, has put out facts. These are credible facts. You can check, cross-check. Mr. Speaker, this is from Cocoa Board. I never mentioned any institution. Mr. Speaker, this is from Cocoa Board. I'm surprised my colleague, Honorable Eric, is making some
assertions that are inaccurate and misleading. Mr. Speaker, Cocoa Board in 2020 season went for $1.3 billion. Out of this amount, Cocoa Board by January 2021 had released 5.6 billion Ghana cedis to the LBCs. Mr. Speaker, the practice is that when LBCs carries the bean, they have between 15 to 30 days to raise invoice for them to be paid. I want to ask my colleague, at what point, today is on the 3rd of February, if at the end of January, 5.6 billion have been released to LBCs, at what point did the LBCs carry those bills and raise those invoices that cover the 15 to 30 days that they have to be paid? Mr. Speaker, we don't have to, as the members of Parliament, make certain comments that put a dent on the image of the country at the international front. He's making allusion that Cocoa Board have gone for money and they have used the Mr. Speaker.
You want to quote?
He said it. And I want to quote. He said, Mr. Speaker, it is my considered view that if Parliament, which approved the syndicated facility for the purpose of purchasing cocoa for the 2020-2021 crop season, doesn't intervene to get or to release funds to LBCs to enable them to pay the farmers for the cocoa being purchased. Mr. Speaker, as if they received the money. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that any time Cocoa Board go for this syndicated loan, they don't pay all the money to them at a go. They draw it at a point in time. There's a drawdown line that they have given to them. And they are, my colleagues on the other side, they are aware.
You've been in government before. Fortunately for us, you have been in government before.
They did it. They know. When they were in government, nothing has changed.
Honorable member, can you address, contribute, the leave it out?
Cocoa Board has indicated that within this month, they are going to draw down the remaining balance. The $190 million which is left. And that is what they will use to pay any LBC, the subsequent one that's submitting invoice. Mr. Speaker, the maker of this statement has made some word allegations against Cocoa Board. And this is a House of Records. We don't need to allow this allegation to stand in any of our proceedings in this House. Cocoa Board is a public institution, government institution. They can't hide any document from this House. And I will urge, Mr. Speaker, with your direction, that we can even call for details of this documentation, these facts that we are putting out here, so that this attitude of every time trying to muddy the waters, throwing dust in the eyes of Ghanaians, creating some kind of unnecessary tension among us, will stop at a point in time. This is a point of them misinforming the public, the unsuspecting public. You are the ones that you are misinforming them. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to end. Thank you.
Honourable members, can everybody resume your seat whilst I give this announcement after that? Honourable members, the officers undertaking the COVID test have up to 4 p.m. to leave the presence of Parliament. Thus far, about 50 members of Parliament and staff have not submitted to the test. I'm please requesting any member or any staff who have not submitted to the test to please do so immediately. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we should draw the attention of members to the House that some members of Parliament who have in fact tested positive to the COVID are still coming to the chamber. The Speaker wishes me to inform that if those members do not withdraw and isolate, he will be forced to publish the names of members who have tested positive in order to warn the rest of us. Please, let's take this protocol seriously and let all members who have been informed of their test results that they have tested positive withdraw from the precincts of Parliament, not just the chamber. Stay home and self-isolate, go through the protocols and recover before they return to the House. I thank you very much. Yes, Honorable Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the COVID test, Mr. Speaker, it is important that we don't abandon a procedure that has served us well in the past. Mr. Speaker, what is it? After the test, our medical director talks to the whips on their side those who have tested positive. So you assist, you keep the confidentiality, but you assist the members to stay out. Then you also know them as whip to help them stay away. Without necessarily telling, for example, Honorable Anodon Pre, who is the whip for majority, the members on the minority, or telling me, Muntaka, the members on the majority, but members on my side, I need to know so that I can help the House ensure that these members are not only also not in their offices. So I hope that this will be there. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, all of us, those who have taken the test, even where it is negative, it is important that that report, that sheet is given to every member. You just don't keep quiet and tell me that if I'm not called, that means I'm negative. If it is only when you are positive that you be called. No. The results of the report, the test, must be issued to every member so that I can know that, but if they call me, I didn't pick. And yet they keep calling me and I'm not. Give me, as Muntaka, the results of my test, negative, so that I can keep it. But not to keep it to yourself and say that if you don't receive a call, that means you are negative. If you receive a call, then you are positive. What if I don't pick my call? I believe that if we streamline this, it will help not only the whips, but it will help the whole House to be at more calm. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as you indicated, Mr. Speaker, as the Speaker indicated last week, as of last week, Friday, 60 of the members, not members and staff, 60 of the MPs have not submitted themselves. And it was what occasioned our recalling the technical people to come back. The Speaker, yesterday, only 5 people submitted themselves. Yesterday, only 3 people submitted themselves. Today, only 5 have. So it means that out of the 60 that have not submitted, 52 have still not submitted. And that is the danger. I do know for a fact that a couple of us have submitted at some private institutions, some private health facilities. I'm not too sure of the number, but I do know of at least 3 who have shown their
test results to me. That still will not exonerate the remaining 52. The Speaker, it's important that we submit ourselves. They were to leave at 3, and I've pleaded with them to stay up to 4:30, and they said to me that they can only stay up to 4. So I've pleaded with those who have not yet submitted themselves to please exit to go and submit themselves. Many of the staff have also not submitted themselves. And some of the journalists with us have also not submitted themselves. Let me plead with everybody here, staff, members of parliament, and journalists who have not, please submit yourselves. And as the Speaker said to us, if you don't, in all likelihood, from next week, as the Speaker insisted, we will not allow people who have not submitted to be in the chamber. And perhaps for the staff, not even to be in your various offices. So, Mr. Speaker, it's a very serious matter, and we should all take the announcement very, very seriously. And thank you very much.
Sorry, are we discussing COVID? No, I want to return to Cocoa Boat. Right? Yes, Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to get an indication on the statement how many you were taking from both sides. So we can.
Let me be guided by the leadership. So confer and advise me.
Maybe we've done 2-2 already. If you could, yeah, we've done
one.
The maker of the statement, and then Honorable Afemakin came.
Right,
then,
right.
So
two.
So we've done 2-2 already. So if we could do maybe additional 2-2, then council the leaders.
Very well.
Yes.
Yes, Honorable Leadership. What the suggestion is that 4 from each side. We've done 2 already. We allow 2 more.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know the number of statements that you have. Yesterday, the Speaker allowed for just 2 comments from either side. Not knowing the number of statements, I don't know what to say about it, except to say that if we have more than 1, Mr. Speaker, then I guess we can allow for 2 more, including that from other side, including leadership, so that we can move on. Because we need really to also discuss the standing orders. We need to move into a committee or the report. You're not going to discuss the report. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, my thinking is that you can, if 2 have spoken on either side, you can allow for 2 more from either side, including the leaders.
Yes. Honorable Member for Tamale. Is it no? Tamale no.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the statement that has been ably made by the Honorable Member for Buem. Mr. Speaker, I start with a note relating to how the statement seemed to have just debate when statements usually, Mr. Speaker, are not supposed to generate debate. Mr. Speaker, on that note, therefore, I want to call on all of us to perhaps begin to shed from ourselves the campaign fever with which we came into this chamber with, and desist from the mentality of we against them all the time. Mr. Speaker, I have gone through the statement, and the statement raises very germane issues that affect cocoa farmers, not only in the Buem constituency. Mr. Speaker, I've also listened to the Honourable Member of Parliament for Esunafu Sat, Honourable Eric Opoku, confirmed that indeed there are cocoa farmers who have not received payments. Mr. Speaker, I've also listened carefully to the on the majority group side give the indication that indeed Cocoa Board has made some payments, but not all payments. I also listened to the former Deputy Agric Minister try to take us through the processes that lead to payment, which also, in a way, confirm that as it stands, it is possible that some farmers may not have received payment even though cocoa beans may have been delivered. So, Mr. Speaker, as a house that our constituents, if what the maker of the statement is calling for is that we come together to find out why the syndicated loan was approved by us, yet in the process of disbursing this, we still have bottlenecks in relating to whether or not farmers have been paid. I think, Mr. Speaker, the right thing to do through our contributions is to present as have been presented the facts as we know them, agreeing, however, that the facts as we know them do not address the issue of farmers not being paid. And so together, what do we do? So it does not become a me or we against them debate or discussion. It becomes a collective collaboration of what we all know. How together we can use what we all know about the situation to resolve the crisis and help the poor farmer. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is correct that Cocoa Board regulates the PBCs. So even if there is proof that even if there is proof, Mr. Speaker, that Cocoa Board has released funds to the LBCs, and yet there is evidence that farmers have not received that payment, to raise that issue is not an indictment on Cocoa Board and by extension government. It is a call for Cocoa Board and all those responsible to regulate the LBCs and ensure that the farmers are paid. And we as members of parliament should be seen to be calling for that to be done and not to be arguing among ourselves as if to say that it's a battleground to defend positions. So, Mr. Speaker, my contribution to this is simple. Let us come together on this through our contributions and find out from Cocoa Board how come, if they indeed have released all funds to LBCs, farmers have still not been paid. I think that is more progressive and that is more rewarding for this nation. I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, Honorable Member for Ablekuma South. West, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This contribution to the statement, but to seek clarification from your good self. I believe that yesterday, the Honorable Speaker made an assertion that it is imperative on those who make statements in the House to share copies with members on the other side so that we can all contribute effectively to the statement. Mr. Speaker, when we were all registering for Parliament, this 8th Parliament, we were all giving Parliament's email addresses. It is easy to share those statements to all those addresses or those who might be interested in it, so that when we come to the floor of the House, we would have prior notice of the statements that have been made and would have had some inkling as to what was coming and make informed contributions to it. I believe that if prior to discussing, to even making the statement on the House, we have an opportunity to discuss it. The maker of the statement would know that there was information on it. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, this is such an important subject that it would have served us better if the maker of the statement had asked a substantive question of the President's representative to the Ministry of Agri, so that he would come to the House and give a full statement on the disbursement of the syndicated loan and whether or not there were lapses in the work of the LBCs so that we could all have the benefit of it. We may all contribute to it from a position of using our own minds and not having benefit of the real facts in the matter. And that would not serve us well and our constituents as well. So, Mr. Speaker, I would urge on advantage of the tools that we have at our disposal to enable us do our work as members of parliament more effectively. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minority Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to contribute and to commend my colleague, Honorable Kofi Adams, for making this statement. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Sweeney from Tamale North have said it all. If all of us could concentrate on trying to serve our constituents and move away from we and them, it will do us a lot of good. And Mr. Speaker, to just add on what my colleague Honorable Osla also said, if the office of the Speaker could also be taking not only the hard copy but the soft copy, so that once Speaker admits the statement, the usher of Mr. Speaker will get it sent by email to all of us, because it is just going to be with just one button and every one of us will have it so that it becomes easier. Because the time that we move from conclave to the chamber, when a member is told Speaker has admitted your question, is too short. And I could remember when I came in, I was struggling to get them to run copies, and they couldn't run enough, only about few that I had to give it to the whip opposite and the deputy leader. So, Speaker, having said this, Speaker, I want to urge my colleagues to call their constituents, to call the LBCs that they know, to call purchasing clerks that they know. They will know that this is really a problem that is currently facing Cocoa Board. We need to admit and find out from Cocoa Board what is their real challenge is. The Speaker, the statement read by the deputy leader is accurate. In cocoa purchasing, for those of us who have worked within the industry, you always need seed money. The seed money is like capital. What local people, where I come from, Kumasi, will say, jetri. You need to turn it around. And in fact, the efficiency of the company depends on how many turnaround you've been able to do. And many of them will tell you that if you take the seed money from Cocoa Board and you are not able to do at least 2.5 turnaround with that money, you may be running into losses. So for example, Mr. Speaker, if you look at Cocoa Board itself, with the estimated 5.6 billion that they anticipate to use, it cannot buy the 850,000 metric tons that they are targeting. Because if you multiply a bag of cocoa at 600 times 16 bags, that gives you 1 ton, times 850,000 metric tons, you will need close to 9 billion to procure that quantity of cocoa. Yet, they are using this seed money with the hope that they will turn it around minimum. Cocoa Board target is that they will turn it around minimum 2.0 to be able to use money to purchase these 850,000 metric tons. So it is about speed and turning the money around so that it is not just money that you just give, you just go and buy once and then that's the end. No, that's not how the operations is done. And you find out from a lot of the LBCs, they will tell you that even when Cocoa Board gives them the seed money, they go on to banks to take additional funding to be able to turn and move very fast. Currently, the challenge that they are having is that they produce the cocoa, and Cocoa Board is not able to reinvest them to go back to the field to be able to purchase the more of the cocoa and bring. And that is why they are in the challenge that they have. And Mr. Speaker, this is very simple because the license buying companies, that's the LBCs, they have a secretariat. And this house can simply invite the secretariat. And I know their secretary general, one Mr. Isi, we can invite him and invite Cocoa Board. He will come and tell us the situation from the LBC end. That's the license buying companies. One Cocoa Board tells us the situation from the Cocoa Board itself.
hold
to
on.
resolve.
Are you on a point of order, Honorable Member for Tema West?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I'm on a point of order. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I think that my colleague from the other side is arguing from a point which is, I would describe as a non-informed position. Mr. Speaker, as a member, a former member of the Cocoa Board, who happens to be a chairman of COSMAC, which is the Cocoa Sector Marketing Committee, which regulates and licenses LBCs, I can say on authority that the seed fund that is given to these LBCs is only an initial fund for them to turn around. Every LBC, before you're qualified, you're supposed to bring a letter of guarantee from the bank that you have that amount of money that you're going to use to trade. In fact, it is a prerequisite. If you don't provide a bank statement, which shows.
So tell me what he has said.
So what he said, which is not correct, is that they need to take, is a seed money they need to use or they need to turn around in the trade. But no, they're supposed to have their own money. The seed money is only an initial funding which Cocoa Board provides for the LBs while they wait for their bank money. Meanwhile, we make sure that either you provide a bank statement showing that you have the amount stashed down, or you have a bank guarantee from the bank stating that they are giving you the amount of money. So the seed fund is not what you are supposed to use to
Your
trade.
point is well made.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Leader, I'll take that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker is talking about how PBC operates. The Speaker, the LBCs have to have a bank guarantee, as he's talking about. So every money Cocoa Board gives you, you have a bank that is saying that should you lose that money, they will be there to pay, or should that money get lost, or you run into loss, or there's some accident, the bank will stand in for you. And before a bank will give you the guarantee, you need to put in collateral and other properties that you have. Not that you have their money. If you have their money, you don't go to Cocoa Board to collect money. That's why most of the foreign companies do not operate with Cocoa Board's seed fund, because of the cumbersome nature of applying for it. They take their own money, buy and supply, and expect Cocoa Board to just pay them outright. But our local companies, the LBCs, many of them do not have that capacity, because the Speaker, their operation involves billions of cedis. And so, Mr. Speaker, and like I was saying, if we could get the LBC, the licensed bank company secretariat, with Cocoa Board to come to this house and brief us, we may be able to help resolve the challenge. Because, Mr. Speaker, currently, the challenge that you are having is that before I came to this house, I was in the cocoa industry. I was working for one of the LBCs. And yes, and PBC, the produce buying company, which is the government fully owned, was the largest, LBC, that's the largest buying company. The story is not the same today. Because each time Cocoa Board is having challenges, they even suffer more. But remember, this is fully owned by the state and employs virtually 100% Ghanaians, has a lot of warehouses across the country, a lot of facilities. So each time they do not have enough money to buy cocoa, all these persons go unemployed. Because in most of the situations, the purchasing clerks are not paid salary. They run on commission. So the more cocoa you are able to buy, the more money you are able to make. And so if there's no money to buy cocoa, what you simply do is that you lose money. Same with the local LBCs. You see that in the maker of the statement, he said that it is only Cadell, one of the foreign companies, that is currently buying in the Western region. Yes, these foreign companies, they don't operate using the seed fund from Cocoa Board. And the fear is that if we don't correct these challenges, what is going to happen is that we will gradually be handing over the industry into the hands of foreigners who will just come, they have enough resources, they will not look the way of seed fund, they will just go in and buy all the cocoa, and then our compatriots, well, in 1993, we decided that we should liberalize the cocoa industry and decided to give our own local people license to be able to participate in the industry. All of them will be lost out. If a foreigner comes here to buy, you don't expect him to keep all the profit here. He will repatriate his profit. And who loses? In the end, we'll be having the cocoa trees here. Already, we all know the challenges in terms of the value added. We are the last. If we allow the operations in Peterson, that one to be hijacked by foreigners, we should know there will be more unemployment on our side. There will be more challenges facing our youth and our farmers. Because one other effect that is affecting the farmers currently is that because I have produced cocoa and I've given it to a Peterson clerk, but he's not been able to get money for me. In the local settings, they go on to borrow. And Mr. Speaker, you know, whether in Bekwai or near Dubiasi, in Asante Redding, where I'm very familiar with how the farmers and the Peterson clerks operate, he will give him the money, but at 100% interest sometimes. So by the time the money comes, the farmer will end up losing.
The 100% interest, is it from your personal experience? The 100% interest, are you speaking from your personal experience?
Mr. Speaker, I won't talk about my personal experience with the 100%. But what I know is that they will give this loan to them at an exorbitant interest rate, to the extent that by the time the money is paid, the farmer loses out completely. He or she may not be able to, the very farm that have produced the cocoa, because if you are a farmer, like my senior brother and colleague from Sewi also, Dr. Efrie, will tell you, yes, the income comes, but portions of it is to go back into the farm in terms of buying fertilizer, in terms of pruning, weedicide control. If you don't do that, your yield the following year is going to go down. So if they are selling their cocoa and they are not able to get money because of the challenges, whatever challenges Cocoa Board is having, it's indirectly in the industry. And I think we need to be able to find out for Cocoa Board what genuinely is the challenge. Why are they not able to quickly pay back the release money to the LBCs to continue the operations, and we are finding ourselves in this situation. Mr. Speaker, let me end by saying that this is a very important statement that I will really gladly, Mr. Speaker, be happy that you do not let it remain just as a statement, but let's get Cocoa Board and probably, like I said, the license buying company secretariat to tell us exactly what the challenges are and what Parliament can do to help, because truly, our citizens within the cocoa growing area are really feeling the pain of non-payment from the LBCs, and the LBCs are complaining that, look, I've sent so much cocoa to Cocoa Board and they are not able to give me back the money to control the purchases. With this, I once again thank the maker of the statement and hope that Mr. Speaker will act to help save this situation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, the last one is for the leadership, unless the leadership decides to refer to him. Yes, Dr. Cocoa Farmer.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. And let me somehow commend the... I say somehow because I do not get the gravamen of this statement. Yes, there are some difficulties in the cocoa sector as far as payments are concerned. But most of them are even administrative and is limited to one or two cocoa LBCs. Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking from personal experience. I deal with 4 LBCs. 3 have paid, and I was surprised that Western North was cited. It is not a widespread phenomenon. But actually, what is lost on this house is that there's even an international dimension to this phenomenon. Right now in Cote d'Ivoire, farmers are having a hell of a time selling their cocoa because of our new, if you like, now this COVID situation. And Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire got together, got their act together, and they said that we were going to help farmers. So we cobbled, an idea was cobbled, and we had this LID, Living Income Differential. Apparently, certain companies do not want to comply, and they are finding difficult or they are using substitute not to pay the LID. In the Ghanaian situation, we are in even a better situation. So I tell you that if Honorable Kofi Ahmed is worried about smuggling of cocoa across our shores, that will not happen. Indeed, if we do not take care, we will be inundated with substandard cocoa from our neighbors. That is the phenomenon now. Number two, like I'm saying, a lot of, I've contacted Cocoa Board because I anticipated that a statement would be filed. And it's unfortunate that this statement was not circulated for us to study. And that is why Honorable Oslausu's intervention is very apt indeed. The Speaker, next time we should all have that kind of situation where we can, contribute meaningfully to statement. Because like I'm going through this statement, I do not parsing it. I do not see what the maker of the statement wants to or intends to do. Because my contact with Cocoa Board says that about 90% of the syndicated loan has been drawn down. And indeed, they also face another policy challenge. When LBCs were set up, it was meant, at least in spirit, for Ghanaian companies. Right now, they are being supplanted by foreign companies. That is another tall story, and it's feeding into this. Again, the LBCs, they have some of them, I do not want to mention their name, they have their own problems. So even monies released to them do not go to the cocoa farmers. And one of them who has not paid, that is the real situation. And it has nothing to do with Cocoa Board per se. So we should make sure that we get our affairs together. Mr. Speaker, before I take my seat, I want to make this request that in the cocoa industry, because of COVID, there's going to be a glut. And so Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire will have to look at the land use policy and whatnot. I've always made that statement that cocoa used to be a middle class family industry. Now it's the poor classes that are shouldering, that's why here in Brazil they've opted out, that's why Indonesia is opted out, that's why Malaysia is opted out, and it's exploitation not of child labor, but labor. That in essence, it is what is playing out. This is only a microcosm, and it has been exacerbated by COVID. So to summarize, this statement that has been made is a mixed picture. Yes, some farmers have not received their monies due them, but they are grossly wrong. And Cocoa Board, by and large, even though they have their own difficulties, have by and large discharged their duties. But on the international horizon, we have a great difficulty, and we should brace ourselves for a cocoa glut on the international market. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, I wish the leadership of Cocoa Board to brief the House at the Committee of the Whole to be determined by the leadership of the House. So I direct that the leadership of the House shall invite Ghana Cocoa Board to meet and brief members of the House at the Committee of the Whole on this matter. Thank you. The next statement is by the Honorable Williams Okotodate, Honorable Member for German South. It is on state of deplorable roads in German South.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, my name is Williams Okofodate, MP German South.
Honorable Member, thank you for correcting me, but this is your statement, is that right? What you gave to Mr. Speaker, which just forwarded to me, is Okoto. So please make sure the next time you spell your name correctly, so I don't pronounce it wrongly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to make my maiden statement in the House. Mr. Speaker, I wish to highlight the deplorable state of road network in my constituency, Jamai South. I am very sure you all appreciate the need for good roads in the country, and its importance cannot be underestimated. The poor road network in the country is not a secret, and the havoc it has caused the nation is immense and immeasurable. Over the years, our attempt to tackle the problem bedeviling the road network has been fraught with challenges. Mr. Speaker, Jamai South is a municipality, and in my estimation, has some of the worst roads in the country. The only sign of a bitumen road in the constituency is the one stretching through the principal street of the municipal capital, that's Drobo, through to Sampa. That road is over 20 years old and riddled with potholes that can cause accidents for motorists and commuters on a daily basis. Mr. Speaker, the potholes on that stretch of road are deep enough to change your radio station. Mr. Speaker, every other road in the constituency is in a terrible shape and making one of the most beautiful constituencies in the country an eyesore. Mr. Speaker, there are over 50 towns and villages connected just by 4 major roads in the municipal capital have not seen a tarred surface in their lifetime, even though all of such roads are over 100 years old. Mr. Speaker, the problem of road network is impeding the development of the people and the communities. The terrible nature of the roads has adversely affected investment in the constituency. Existing businesses are dying and new ones are hardly coming up due to the dust that engulfs the whole community during the dry season or Harmattan season. The rainy season comes with its own challenges. The potholes get filled, driving and walking even becomes difficult. Mr. Speaker, sometimes it is difficult to live in the constituency, especially when all other 4 municipal assemblies in the Bono region have asphaltic surfaces except Jamai South municipality. Mr. Speaker, Jamai South contributes its fair share to the development of the nation. In fact, we are a major farming community dealing mainly in the cultivation of cocoa and cashew on a large scale. Foodstuff production is abundant. The problem is that the trucks carrying these goods many times get stuck and sometimes topple over and block the narrow roads. Mr. Speaker, on 3 of the 4 major roads in the municipality, Ghana shares a border with Ivory Coast, making the constituency an entry point to foreigners. Mr. Speaker, foreigners' first impression about the country is formed mostly at the entry point. Hence, the need to carve a very good and a beautiful impression for the municipality and the country. Mr. Speaker, one beautiful thing about the municipality is that most of the towns are so close by, and in most cases, less than a kilometer between them. An example is from Drobo, the municipal capital, to Kwamse Krom, where you have Jape Krom, Katachie Krom, Gunasia, Kromunum, Sebreni, Dodosio, Bano number 1, Bano number 2, Bano number 3, and Kwamse Krom, the border town, all on the 12-kilometer road. Mr. Speaker, again, from Drobo to Mrema, you have Nyamifie, Asuoja, Jejemreja, Abuo Krom, and Remano on a 9-kilometer road. On the road to Atuna Batian, you have Jape Krom, Babianiha, Komfo Krom, Bobuno, Konsia, Abrikasu, Atuna, Pampra Krom, and Batian. The point being made here is that Any attempt to get any of this stretch of road constructed is going to bring a big relief to thousands of people, because none of these aforementioned towns has a population of less than 1,000. Mr. Speaker, I am happy to know that the President, in his inaugural address to the nation, spoke of this year as the Year of Rose. It is my hope and prayer that this year's Year of Rose promise be different from what the President proclaimed last year, 2020. I urge the state to consider us favorably in this year's budget.
Hold on. Yes, member for Gagwe Central.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I believe the honorable member is reading a statement, and the rules of the House does not require a statement to provoke any debate. You are saying that it's your prayer that this year's promise by the President that it's going to be the year of roads will not be the same as last year. You are provoking debate. Because if I ask you to provide me with data on road works, how can you support that? Because the year hasn't started.
Honorable, thank you. The statement has been admitted by Mr. Speaker, and it will allow him to read it, and members can comment alike. He has concluded.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to repeat here. I'm happy to know that the President, in his inaugural address to the nation, spoke of this year as the Year of Rose. It is my hope and prayer that this year's Year of Rose promise be different from what the President promised last year, 2020. Mr. Speaker, I urge the state to consider us favorably in this year's budget, especially in the area of roads, so as to get the spirit of once vibrant communities back to life. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak the minds of my constituents in the House. Thank you very much.
Yes, honorable member for Sunyani East.
Sunyani West.
Sorry, Sunyani West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank the maker of the statement. And to say that even though his statement is more or less constituency specific, having been a former regional minister of the region before, I have a fair idea as to conditions of his constituency and, for that matter, his municipality. The Speaker, I just want to say that, yes, just like many other constituencies and municipalities, road continues to be a major challenge to many of our communities. But that notwithstanding, it is also a fact that some attempts have been made in his constituency to address the issue of roads. And I do know for a fact that if you go to Drobo, which is the German sub-district capital, quite a number of roads are under construction. Apart from that, there are other major roads which are also under construction and have reached a considerable level of completion. And I thought, in being fair in the statement, the maker of the statement will have acknowledged that as effort by government in addressing the road conditions in his constituency. He also made a statement that maybe apart from his constituency, there's no other constituency or municipality in the region which doesn't have an asphalted surface in the district capital. That is factually incorrect. The Speaker, my constituency, it was hyped out of Sunyani municipality, and it is the closest constituency to Sunyani, but I don't even have a single kilometer of asphalting in my district capital. So for him to have made a general statement that every constituency, every town or constituency capital in the region has an asphalting surface is factually incorrect. And I think that be corrected. Mr. Speaker, I agree that road issues continues to be a major challenge in many parts of the country, but I must also admit that since the beginning of last year, when His Excellency the President declared the year of roads, many bold attempts have been made to address major road challenges in many of our communities. I can cite so many of them in my region and then in my constituency, and in his particular constituency that I can also speak of. Mr. Speaker, it's factually incorrect that the major road linking or which passes through the constituency from Brekum through Drobo to was constructed some 20 years ago. Mr. Speaker, between 2006 and 2009, early 2009, I was the regional minister. The road from Balbianiha through Drobo to Sampa was started during my reign as a regional minister, and it could not have been over 20 years by now. So I just want to plead that whenever we are making statements which will be on record, we have to be very careful and also be factually correct. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I thank the maker of this statement.
Yes, Honorable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity given to contribute to this statement. I would like to thank the maker of this statement. He is my neighbor. I share boundary with him. That is Jamai North. Jamai North was carved out of Jamai in 2004, the year 2004. Mr. Speaker, the situation in Jamai South is not different from the situation in Jamai North, Time, Banda, in respect of the deplorable nature of roads that we have in these constituencies. Mr. Speaker, when you come to these constituencies and chance to ask the constituents of their urgent needs, the chorus answer that will be given is roads. The constituents of these four constituencies I've mentioned are in dire need of roads. We are fortunate to have some members here who recently went to these constituencies to campaign. I can boldly make mention of Honorable Osla Owusu. She went to Jamai North during the campaign era to campaign for a colleague, that is Honorable Siaka Stephen, the ex-MP. She can attest to this situation. Sampa as a district capital. Up till now, this district was carved from German in 2004. It will sadden you, Mr. Speaker, to know that the principal streets of Sampa are still untapped as a constituency or a district capital. Sampa, Banda, and the constituencies I have mentioned so far, and the constituencies I have mentioned so far, have a lot of resources, and a lot of revenue is being taken from these areas into the national coffers. But it will sadden you to know that our roads are in a bad nature. We are praying to Mr. Speaker to speak to the necessary authorities. We are aware we have a Minister of Road now. He's yet to face the House for approval. And I believe when his nomination is approved,
and he becomes a substantive minister, he will work expeditiously for our roads to be touched so that we can also fill our part of the national cake. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. I'll allow one more contribution. Honorable former Minister, Director of Highways.
No. It's rather the former Deputy Minister for Local Government.
I can't make you out. Very well. Oh, Nkranza.
Yes, please.
I've forgotten that you came back to the house. All right. Yeah.
All right. I just want to make some correction here. In regards to what the Honorable former Regional Minister said, the Honorable MP was referring to municipalities, and the last time I checked, your place is not a municipality. It's a district. That is Sunyani West.
Yes, Honorable Member for Sunyani West.
Mr. Speaker, it's not a minister. My colleague on his feet. Don't worry, I'm coming free. Mr. Speaker, my colleague on his feet cannot profess to be more Catholic than the Pope. If he wants to talk about my constituency, my municipality, he cannot he cannot behave as if he knows my municipality more than my good self. Mr. Speaker, we can check the records. This House actually did approve of the municipality of Sunyani West and has Odomase as the municipal capital. So we cannot say that my area is a district. It is a municipality.
Honourable members, yeah, are you done? I thought you were contributing to the debate. Very well. I'll give the last one to you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I am Honorable Joseph Kwame Kuma, Kintampon North Municipality, which is the center of Ghana and Africa. Mr. Speaker, my colleague, I thank you for bringing this issue up. Mr. Speaker, if my records are right, metropolis, many as we have them in Ghana, have all had befitting rules. Municipalities, just like my brother's place, is a headache. Kintampon North cannot be left out. Our rules.
Honorable member, if you want to bring a statement on Kintampon North, please file your own statement.
Thank you,
now,
Mr. Speaker.
If you want to contribute to the debate on German South, you may continue.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to the end of session. Honorable Majority Leader, at the commencement of public business, the only item or items on public business is the presentation of the report of the committee I chair. The report is still being prepared. Yes, Leader.
Mr. Speaker, because you are presiding, I believe I could present the paper. Because you are presiding, I believe I could present the paper on your behalf to the House. So we could spend some time digesting it and then perhaps to meet tomorrow over it.
I think so. So, item number 5.
Yeah.
Reports of the Technical Committee on the review of the standing orders of the Parliament of Ghana.
A report is duly presented, is for distribution to members. In that case, Honorable Majority Leader, item number 6 cannot. Is that right?
Speaker, as you do know, we just submitted the report to plenary, and they require some time to peruse it. So I'll plead that we take this report tomorrow at the sitting of the committee of the whole to deal with it. I don't know whether it should be a committee of the whole or a joint caucus, because this is coming from, this is a report coming from, it's coming from a technical committee. If you should go to a committee of the whole, then after the consideration, the committee of the whole will have to generate a report and submit it to a plenary. And that is not supposed to be the procedure. So it should rather be a joint caucus to consider the report, and then thereafter we can come to some determination on that.
Very well. In that case, can I have a motion to adjourn the House till tomorrow?
And the motion is that this House takes an adjournment until tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I so move.
Yes, available. Honourable members, the motion to adjourn the House has been moved and seconded. All in favour of the motion say aye. All against say no. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned till Thursday, February 4th, 2021 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.